What's the most unforgivable thing a teacher ever did? So, picture this. I'm standing in front of my entire class, tears streaming down my face, while my history teacher, Mr. Peterson, reads my private journal out loud. Every secret, every fear, every embarrassing crush. And the room? Dead silent. Except for a few kids giggling. It all started because life at home was falling apart. My parents were constantly fighting, and I felt like I was drowning in the chaos. So I turned to this little blue notebook my grandma gave me. I'd pour everything into it. How scared I was they'd split up. How I couldn't focus in school, and yeah, even my hopeless crush on Tyler, the cute boy 2 rows back. I wrote in that journal all the time. At lunch, on the bus, sometimes even in class when things felt too heavy. It was the only place where I could breathe. One day in history, I was quietly scribbling in it behind my textbook while Mr. Peterson droned on about World War II. But of course, he spotted me. "Passing notes, Emma?" he said, walking over and snatching the notebook before I could close it. "It's just my journal," I whispered, reaching for it. "Please, give it back." But instead of handing it over, he smirked and said, "Maybe what's so important should be shared with everyone." At first, I thought he was bluffing. Teachers always say they'll read notes aloud, but they never do. Except Mr. Peterson did. He started with harmless stuff, how boring class was, and people laughed. But then he kept going, into the parts about my parents fighting, how I cried myself to sleep, how I was terrified we'd have to move. And the worst, the pages about Tyler, how I practiced what I'd say if he ever talked to me. Tyler sank so low in his seat I thought he'd slide under the desk. My best friend Lily looked like she wanted to vanish. And me? I stood there frozen, watching my most private thoughts become a public comedy show. When the bell rang, I bolted to the bathroom, locked myself in a stall, and just crumbled. My phone buzzed nonstop. Texts from people in class, none of which I wanted to read. That night, I didn't tell my parents. They were too busy screaming at each other, and honestly, I just wanted to disappear. But the next morning, my mom noticed my puffy eyes. And when I finally told her, she didn't yell or freak out. She just quietly grabbed her car keys. At school, she marched straight into the principal's office, pulling me behind her. Calm as anything, she placed my journal on his desk and said, "Mr. Peterson read this to my daughter's entire class yesterday. Every word. What are you going to do about it?" When Mr. Peterson got called in and saw my mom, his face turned ghost white. He stammered something about discipline issues, and she wasn't paying attention, but my mom cut him off. She trusted her feelings to that book because she didn't feel safe talking about them at home. You took that safety away. 2 days later, Mr. Peterson was on personal leave. A week later, we had a new history teacher. And me? I learned that sometimes the most powerful voice in the room isn't the loudest. It's the one that quietly stands up for you when you can't stand up for yourself.